Back to the Nutrimedical report. I was recently just doing some more fancy dental work with my dentist, Dr. Jeffrey Kerbs, Kerbs, at Escondido. He's probably the most advanced dentist I've ever been to. He is an IOMT biological certified dentist. So I'll be posting up a hyperlink associates on our website. And if you go through us, you'll get a savings if you go to see his office. I consider him the best cosmetic and biological dentist I've ever been to here and anywhere in the world, but here in Southern California he's super high rated. And one of the things that I talked to him about yesterday, because we're going to be doing some video, I'll probably put up a video analysis or presentation on our live stream TV channel, and we'll embed it on our websites on NutriMedical.com, and he'll put it up at his website. And one of the things I first mentioned was heavy metal exposure. I'm getting the last of my mercury amalgams out. There were just a few stragglers. And doing some fancy porcelains, and they have the new porcelain materials. But I can tell people, if you're trying to keep your mitochondria going because you live as well, you know, Spock recently died, and you do that Aaronic priesthood blessing where he separates the third and fourth fingers and makes a big V, which is the sign of the shin, because he had Hebrew background, Jewish background. And basically, that's what the Aaronic priest would say, basically, Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, etc., in the prayer. And what he's basically saying is, you know, I'm going to bless you. Now, when your body's mineralized, when your body has the proper form of iodine, your mitochondria are what you survive and make you survive. In fact, the best way to predict your lifespan is the health of the mitochondria of your mother, your grandmother, and your great-grandmother. Period. That's the best single measure of how long you're going to live. And in fact, the most important factor there is the level of monatomic activated iodine to cause mitochondriogenesis, to make new mitochondria, to clear the body of halides, chloride, fluoride, and bromide. And if you don't have the higher energy form of iodine in its monatomic Tesla activated form, it can't displace these molecules. Regular iodines that they flog all over the place, like thyroid recovery and thyroid shield and all this other garbage, doesn't do that. In fact, if you take dosages of these, and the dosages they recommend will actually do the exact opposite, it'll block T4 to T3 conversion in your periphery or different compartments from your fat tissue, which makes you fatter, or in your brain, which means you end up with what's called mitochondrial deficiency syndrome, otherwise known as Alzheimer's, because when your energetics of your astrocytes start to fail, you don't end up creating an action potential or a neural network. So let's talk about this for a minute, John. When you activate this, it really does make an amazing difference. People say, well, how can I decalcify my pineal gland, which connects them to their higher self, their soul? How can I resurrect my mitochondria so that tertiary and secondary waves of the vascular peristaltic spasm that moves the blood around your body, because it's not your heart. Your heart's only what's called a primary wave. The secondary wave is your blood vessels. In fact, hypertension is simply your heart trying to compensate for decreased vascular peristaltic non-Newtonian fluid dynamic movement of blood. And I have all the equations, and people want to disagree with me, including cardiologists and research PhDs. They got Deagle to contend with. I can give them a plethora of nonlinear equations. Okay, so this is not something that's open to their damned opinion if they don't have science. And that's why people say they're intimidated by me. I don't think there's any such thing as a stupid question, but there are stupid answers. And I want to, and as I get older and more persnickety, I realized that my colleagues, my teachers, and so on continued to give me answers that were not adequate, and as I researched more and more, I realized that most of the stuff I was taught is not true. When people are told, and they're told by non-experts or people who pretend to be experts, that their iodine is equivalent or their mitochondrial support is equivalent, I regularly can reverse people and take them out of congestive heart failure or dementia or many other illnesses, including AIDS, hepatitis C, etc., because we approach the mitochondria as one of the central points of getting better from any illness, is resurrecting your energy. So, John, tell us about monatomic Tesla-activated iodine, NUTRIODINE. What makes it so unique?
Yes, Dr. Bill. We put it through these very extensive Tesla fills. The energy is very high. We put it in for a long period of time, almost an hour. It is enough energy that the iodine molecule is definitely affected and becomes a monatomic unit. It has a equal amount of energy in both halves because our Tesla fill is doing the 60 cycles per second, and it gives each each electron affect the same energy with the iodine, and we had some excellent calls today from people in the Philippines verifying that it works just as well in the Philippines as it does in various countries around the world, and they're very excited about NUTRIODINE being available to them as well. So things are going very well for those that have discovered NUTRIODINE and how to put it into effect in their lives. It really is working well.
Yeah, and what we're discovering, and this is something people should understand, the globalists want to maintain a level of chaos in the world. Economic chaos, geopolitical chaos, and of course the organismic chaos of approaching superstorms of pathogens, both for animals and humans. In other words, worldwide pandemics. And the universal solution to that is NutriODINE. It's the most powerful of our three antipathogenics. We have NutriODINE, Allicin-Med, and Silver 100. And basically, no pathogen can survive that three. And we have people, for example, the other day I had a consult for someone with lymphangitis. Now, lymphangitis can be triggered off by heavy metals like using aluminum-based deodorant, roll stick, or whatever. And but once you get the heavy metals in there, you get secondary mycobacteria, fungi, and viruses, etc., in your lymph glands, and you get a lymphatic inflammation that can cause the glands to swell. And of course, when you biopsy them, they look terribly inflamed because they have granulomas. But the simple solution is to kill off the stealth pathogens. Besides stopping using aluminum-based deodorant, is to use put some on your fingertips. So NutriODINE. The alcohol will vaporize off very quickly. Then rub your fingertips underneath the axilla, or take a 1-in-5 dilution and spray it under your arms 3 to 4 times a day. And bye-bye axillary lymphangitis. I usually recommend they put curcumin cream on and take orally Cell Defense, 2 caplets 3 times a day, and Inflamex 3 to 5 caplets 3 times a day to stop the lymphatic inflammation and to heal the vessel walls, ellagic acid, Neurogen, and Omega Supreme Krill, the krill oil, as well as Cell Detox Glutathione, Nutritrel, and Regenerex to stop the free radicals, because it's a very, very nasty inflammatory reaction that occurs there. NutriODINE is really amazing stuff. Let's go head to toe what we use NutriODINE for. External otitis, pityriasis ovale, which can actually make you bald, which is a fungus on your scalp. Sinus infections and the sinupulse elite. You can do a dilution of it and even put it around your eyes if you've got anterior canal of Schlemm inflammation causing glaucoma, open-angle glaucoma, because people with open-angle glaucoma always have fungal infections and mycobacteria in their canals of Schlemm that cause intraocular hypertension. It can cause their optic nerve head to be pushed in and eventually cause optic nerve head damage and blindness. We end up with a change in your Goldman field test. Working down NICA for your teeth. You want to get our HydroFloss machine. HydroFloss, you can get it at Amazon. Put in 5 to 10 drops of NutriODINE and use a HydroFloss, which changes the charge of the particles. It literally rips the plaque off your teeth, but it'll kill off the nanobacteria and stop bleeding gums and NICA or cavitations. And of course, always use with that NICA and cavitations lumen photon and micropulse energy as well. And burst a CoQ10 and a CoQ10 Supreme will, along with using GastroHeal, zinc carnosine to heal the gums. GastroHeal and CoQ10. Working further down is your circulation system. All heart disease is basically hypometabolism. The Broda Barnes talked about hypothyroidism, but I use a broader term I call hypometabolism syndrome. And there's several subclasses. First is autoimmune, where you have antibodies against the thyroid gland. Second is 20 to 30 times bigger, is what I call TRS, thyroid resistance syndrome, where you have insulin resistance, leptin resistance, and peripheral thyroid conversion deficiency, and a upregulation of production of the 5' iodinase to create reverse thyroid hormone that literally turns off your metabolism and puts you into deep space sleep, which is why people get fat almost eating nothing, and they turn pre-diabetic. So if you want to reverse that, NutriODINE, step number 1. He's talking about some more of these amazing things about NutriODINE. Yes. We have people, it's the most important nutraceutical we have. Tell us more about why, if you're trying to flush fluoride from your body, there's a couple of things. The first thing you need is NutriODINE. The second is NutriDefense, which has the anhydrous catechin polyphenol that'll help to bind the fluoride halide compounds once they're flushed by the NutriODINE. And the third is Xenoestrogen Detox, which gets rid of these xenotoxins by binding them and helping the body rid them that way. But the very first step is you have to use NUTRIODINE. It's the only highest energy form of iodine that's capable of flushing fluoride, chloride, and bromide, which for normal iodine, it's not a high enough energy molecule or atom to actually displace these higher energy molecule halides from the body. So if it's not Tesla activated, it will not work.
That's correct, Dr. Bill. And the way it's used over and over is to apply it both internally and externally. We have so many results that come in from around the world, from missionaries, from doctors that use it in these foreign fields, and it has such a cross purpose that it multitasks all sorts of things in the body. It works in the various organs and the muscles. It scouts out the halogens and it gets rid of those negative effects of those, and it works against the heavy metals as well. So it does have a far-reaching effect, and they're using it. It's almost like a medical kit that they carry for internal and external uses, and certainly the ways it can be used in the body promoting health. Almost everybody that tries it notices an effect of increased energy, and they feel better, and they can tell it right away, especially if you've never had it before. That you try it down, gets in the body, and all of a sudden you say, man, I feel better. I really can tell I've got more energy, my body's working better, and it gets into helping the hormones come out better, and your body just feels all the difference in the world with just a few drops.
Yeah.
Every day.
What's amazing to me is we go down through the body. Let's say we're trying to clear a dysbiosis. And a lot of people don't realize dysbiosis of the bowel is not a minor thing. If you've got the wrong, let's say, beta-glucuronidase bacteria in your lower gut, you're actually going to re-release toxins back into your bloodstream that'll concentrate and cause cancer in your pancreas, your brain, your breasts for women, and your prostate for men. Clearing those pathogens, one of the top things is to take 10 to 20 drops of NUTRIODINE in water 3 times a day. If you've got a major pathogen, let's say in your bronchi, your GI tract, or in your tissues, and a lot of people think that it's distant. For example, I had a dermatologist friend many years ago who actually did scanning electron microscopy of skin biopsies. He was a triple-boarded specialist in endocrinology, radiology, as well as internal medicine. And when he did the biopsies, by the way, and that included dermatology, and what he did is a biopsy of someone's lower leg, and they're trying to see what this diabetic lipidicorum kind of rash would be on the lower legs, and it turned out it was actually fungi growing in the dermal epidermal junction, pushing its nuclei right through the bone periosteum. And you could see it on the scanning EM. If you want to get rid of these things, the only thing you can use is NUTRIODINE. It's the only one powerful enough, along with our Allison Med and Silver 100. As I say, the big three, and NUTRIODINE is the most powerful. There's no doubt whatsoever. We have one gentleman who got, unfortunately, several hundred brown recluse spider bites, which should have killed him. And he immediately had tons of NUTRIODINE. He slathered it on everywhere, and this man, literally, the spider bites didn't even leave a scar afterward. My wife, Michelle, she had a similar thing. She's out because we're in Southern California, and she got a very nasty spider bite. It actually started to necrose and turn into, look really nasty. We put the NUTRIODINE on it, and literally, the body started to extrude the pus within minutes, and within a few hours, she could tell it was starting to heal. And there was no scar left. And that's what's amazing, is it actually regenerates the tissue. We have people with burns, like this young African girl, the missionary, had used NUTRIODINE, and she actually regenerated her tissue right down to the bone, and there's no residual scar. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. It shows that it really does heal those burns.
Right. And by the way, it reverses not only hypothyroidism, but hyper. So when you have thyroid-resistant syndrome, it helps reverse insulin-related diabetes. It helps to reverse hormone deficiencies of adrenal and sex hormones that are often deficient. It allows the body to reverse things like fibrocystic breast and uterine fibroids. It helps to reverse basically the ability to get rid of not only stealth pathogens, but to restore mitochondrial function and brain neurotransmitters for people with chronic fatigue syndrome. It regulates not only estrogen production, but is a breaks up thick mucus if somebody's got chronic lung disease or asthma. It raises your action potentials in your brain so you get smarter. People start taking NutriOdine and say, I can't believe it, I'm smarter. Why am I smarter? It's because you have microglia, your mitochondria in your astroglial cells in your brain now can produce an action potential in neural networks because you've raised the energetic level. Pregnancy. If you want the baby to have a larger brain, more myelinated, more advanced neurological and physical development, higher mitochondrial concentration, you want to be taking NutriOdine during pregnancy. It's one of our pregnancy recommendations. There's many illnesses that'll reverse. For example, if someone's got cancer, I put them on high-dose NutriOdine because cancer cells always have the presence of a stealth pathogen. They always have epigenetic switching on and off of genes. And they always have, and many illnesses, including chronic infections like syphilis, hepatitis B and C, skin lesions. Most people don't realize that there's 200 different pathogens on your skin, like the dermacentor mite. And these pathogens, these dermacentor mite carries in its own gut hundreds of other pathogens inside the little organisms that crawl out of your sebaceous glands at night and have your skin as a red light district and then go crawl back in before morning. People don't realize all these crazy things are going on in their body. Even things like scarring, like keloid formation and Dupuytren's contraction of your hands, Peyronie's contraction of the which is a elastic contraction of the penis that can cause it to be curved, like Bill Clinton apparently had Peyronie's, which is why he, quote, was not capable of normal sex because of his Peyronie's, which is why he had Monica Lewinsky doing other activities. That would have been treated, by the way, with NutriOdine because it breaks up abnormal scarring in your body. If you have a post-traumatic scar and you're trying to remodel it, NutriOdine helps along with our enzymes like Inflamex. So if you're trying to get rid of interfascial adhesions, nerve entrapments, post-traumatic inflammatory changes, NutriOdine helps to speed the rate of healing tremendously. And you've probably seen all these things that I'm mentioning too, John, haven't you? Or heard reports back from our missionaries.
Yes, we do. We hear stories like that all the time. That it's used various ways.
By the way, we sell single bottles. Sometimes we have specials on. We sell 3 and 6 packs where you get an extra one free. We sell flats. We sell lots of flats. I'll tell you, it's amazing. People want, and people ask, what should you have? What I call when, as they say, like Donald Fagen's song, "The Last Call to the Last Ball," when things are all shutting down. You want to have lots and lots of NutriOdine. This is going to be better than gold for bartering NutriOdine. For radiation, for protection against plagues and diarrhea that kills more people than anything else on earth, nothing like NutriOdine. It's amazing. For medical report, we have Tom Strader from MG12. Tom, I tell people on the inside you want to take NutriMeds, on the outside you want to take MG12, all the cosmetics from the shampoo, the soaps, the magnesium oil. I'll give you an example of my day. If I get up in the morning and if I have a shower in the morning or a bath, I'll use the healing body balm when I go to my massage therapist, which I do every week. I use the Magnus Sport spray on after a shower, or in a bath I'll use the magnesium oil. I use the Magnus soap, and after I have my shower and bath, I can use the magnesium shampoo. You can use the roll-on deodorant, which is magnesium-based. It's not going to cause heavy metal swelling or lymphangitis. It's going to clear the pathogens and help to improve the health of your lymphatics and your axillae. You've got a whole range of cosmetic products that are really amazing. And I tell people, if you remineralize from the outside, including the essential oils in the Magnus Sport and the Healing Body Balm, which contains arnica montana for control of pain and healing tissues, it really does make a complete difference, not just for your skin, but your deeper organs. Cardiac arrhythmias, heart failure, hypertension, calming your central nervous system, protecting you from oxidative stress and radiation. Run down through the product line and explain what's in each one and why they're so remarkable, Tom.
Yes, sir. Well, we start off with the ultra-pure Dead Sea minerals that we import from Israel. As you know, Dr. Bill, the Dead Sea is the lowest place on earth. It's also the most fertile piece of land in the entire world, and I wonder why it's in the heart of Israel. But also, the magnesium chloride that's found in the Dead Sea is the highest concentration of magnesium chloride on the face of the planet of any other body of water. There's also unique in a number of minerals, too. It's 14 of the minerals in the Dead Sea. They're not in any other body of the water. But Magnesium is the master key. Magnesium chloride is the master key that unlocks the lock to all the other minerals that work synergistically together with magnesium. Now, people say, well, I use magnesium sulfate or Epsom salt. Well, Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate. Well, this is like magnesium chloride is like Epsom salt on steroids. Good steroids. I don't know if there are any good steroids, but that's the difference between magnesium chloride and magnesium sulfate. So we start with the Dead Sea minerals, and then we take and infuse those with water, and we take it through a proprietary process to produce our Magnesium magnesium oil. And then that Magnesium magnesium oil is the base oil that we use for all our other products, our shampoo, our soap, our magnesium oil, our Magnasport, the deodorant. All these products are comprised primarily of the Magnesium magnesium oil, with the other healing properties of the essential oils that we use, and also carrier oils to go along with the coconut oil, jojoba oil, and those are the two primary oils that we have in our healing body balm. The products, Dr. Bill, have had phenomenal results. Plaque psoriasis is people who have had severe skin issues, acne, psoriasis, rosacea, just account after account after account of what the products has done externally. And people go from all around the world to the Dead Sea to soak in the healing properties of the Dead Sea. So what we've done is we brought the Dead Sea to the people here. And we're just seeing, just like with plaque psoriasis, I was going to say this, a young lady with autism was having severe plaque psoriasis in her hair, and they had to cut her hair so short because she kept pulling it out because her scalp itched so bad. Started using her shampoo, and it completely went away. So those are some of the testimonies that I can share with you right off the bat as far as external benefits. The internal benefits range from, you have no more muscle spasms and cramps or restless legs or night by using the oil. Soak your feet. You can even, take a bath with a cup of our bath salts in your bathtub, or a quarter of a cup in a foot bath, and soak your feet if you can't get in and out of the tub, and get the benefits from soaking the feet. Feet will pull the minerals up into the body, but it also will expel toxins and heavy metals out through the bottom of the feet. We're seeing people that are have had severe issues with spasms and cramps, especially athletes with that are depleted of minerals, that they're no longer having spasms and cramps, and it also decreases the lactic acid buildup in the cells. And I think you could kind of share with us. Yeah,
it makes an amazing difference. Yeah, one of the problems is that the medical profession doesn't understand there's a limit with how fast you can raise total body magnesium. And when you're raising magnesium, it's the primary way to regulate mitochondrial energy, to glutathione peroxidase activity, replicating DNA, and also protecting against cardiac arrhythmias. There's so many areas, 300 enzymes are dependent on magnesium, and it's the master mineral. All the other minerals are dependent on it. If it's present, you can't even get intracellular potassium levels to its optimal level if you don't have adequate intracellular magnesium. And it protects the ion channels from damage. That's why I recently got a request from a gentleman in Grand Cayman Islands, and both he and his wife, she has congestive heart failure, are on a calcium channel blocker like Adalat. And I tell people, for God's sake, don't take that. Take magnesium. You take MG12, and internally, if you're taking a calcium channel, ion channel protector, take Gamma E+, and our magnesium glycinate, malate, magnesium taurate, magnesium potassium citrate. But you need topical to maintain optimal levels. What I do in the bath is I'll put the magnesium oil in the bath, and if I'm using afterward, I'll take a spray of the Magnasport, which contains arnica montana, jojoba, etc., and the essential oils, as well as all the minerals. And your body's totally different. If you're talking about improved perfusion of all your tissues, decreased arrhythmias, more calming of your nervous system, neuroprotection, it works along with taking, say, our brain mag, which is magnesium L-threonate. So the topical is extremely important, and it's amazing how something as simple as taking these 14 trace minerals, and by the way, they're not in anybody's food anywhere. So people say, well, I want to have an organic diet. These minerals aren't present in your organic diet. They're not in the soil anymore, and they never were. Our soil is so depleted, even of the major minerals, selenium, chromium, vanadium, magnesium, manganese, molybdenum. And when you get into these other many, many trace elements that are present in the Dead Sea, they're present in the ancient seas that literally God used to create life on Earth. And those minerals are present in only one place on Earth, and that's at the Dead Sea. Nowhere else. Not the Salton Sea here in California, not in the oceans or inland seas in Russia or Siberia. There's no other place on Earth where all these minerals are present. And that's why when you start taking these, your body starts to remineralize. I augment it by taking indium E's, which increases the intracellular nucleoplasm, which is a small little nucleolus inside your nucleus, and your DNA activation. Activation of all your genes is dependent on mineral concentration. So if you don't have adequate minerals, the actual genes that turn on the transcription of the messenger RNA can't work. So all the, for example, X mineral dependent enzymes do not turn on unless that mineral is present in your cell. Isn't that amazing? So when people say, well, I wonder why a person's not expressing their genetics, I say, you can't. And that's why God talked about the Sabbath rest of the land, and I call this the Sabbath rest nutraceuticals, topical nutraceuticals. Unless you have that Sabbath rest or remineralization, you can't express your genome. Your genome is dependent on the mineral concentration inside your cells. The oldest living people on Earth take indium, and they have glacial milk with a lot of the ionic forms of these minerals, but when you're taking it externally from the Dead Sea, you're doing the same thing. I had a testimony of a lady several years ago who was taking the Dead Sea minerals and really wasn't advised to drink it, but she was diluting it like 1 in 20 and actually drinking it. And she had a very serious health problem in Australia, and she actually made her disease go away just by drinking the magnesium oil, filtered magnesium oil, same company that you're involved with. And I think I wouldn't advise it. I imagine she would get some. If you take a lot of magnesium, she gets significant diarrhea because you want magnesium glycinate malate, which is a lot less irritating to the bowel. That's why you want to take it ionically, topically. But she worked. It worked on her. She got better. But rough way to do it. So these are an amazing line, from shampoos to oils to heating body balm. Go to the link at NutriMedical.com or on the products page and go directly there and take it every day. These amazing line of new. Come back, and we have Bob Dennis. We'll be bringing on Bruce McKeeman in the next hour. At the top of the next hour, we're going to have lots of interesting information. Bob, we talk about the micropulse, and I have a SomaPulse. I'm getting my own micropulse as well here just the next few days. And I love this little device. It's amazing. You can slap it on a sore knee if I over-exercise, because I do some pretty vigorous exercise. I've developed a program. My program at 63.5 is I call VibraFit, where I have a very powerful triplanar vibrational device where I actually do free weights on it. It's a strong machine, where I can adjust them up to 100 pound per hand. And I also have body elastic bands that are the highest tension you can get with a gymnastic bar above and behind me, so I can do full range of motion, every body system, squats and everything, and powerlifting. And the thing about a G-force, I call it the vitamin G on a vibrational platform. If I injure, say, an area like my knee, I can slap on the micropulse in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes. It's so amazing. It's like hard to believe. You can put the micropulse on a sore area. Let's say I've kind of lifted the weight over my shoulder and kind of little tweaked it a bit, and in literally 5 to 10 minutes, it's gone. And that's without taking any pills. Even when I add my nutraceuticals like Inflamex or Cell Defense. So tell us about why you think it works so fast. And also for healing. If you're trying to heal anything like a carpal tunnel syndrome, traumatic brain injury, intraocular hypertension, glaucoma, NICA, or problems around your teeth or gums, you're trying to heal those areas that you've had some gum disease and cavitations. Why do you think it works so quickly?
Well, we have some pretty good data on this, actually. So let me sort of preface this by saying, our bodies evolved response mechanisms for dealing with serious orthopedic injury in the jungle, okay? And, back in the days when they used to do these kinds of experiments, they would check different primates and see, how many of the primates at, various points in their life had actually had major orthopedic injury, like broken bones and that sort of a thing. And they found that it was 47%. So like half of all the monkeys out there that brachiate, go through the forest that way by swinging from branches, have major orthopedic injuries that they survive. And the question is why, right? How? Well, when you're in sort of a wet, wild place, your first response has to be to deal with infection. And so for many millions of years, humans and pre-humans were selected for very quick, overwhelming inflammatory response at the site of an orthopedic injury. That's what we've been selected for, because as unpainful and uncomfortable as it is, it gets you to stop moving, and it as quickly as possible marshals all of your defenses for fighting an infection. But we now have behavioral, scientific, cultural ways to keep ourselves from getting infected very badly when we have a bad orthopedic injury. So that kind of response is no longer the best thing. The best thing for us now, if we're not really, if sepsis, if infection's not the big challenge for us, what is? And now we're living into our late 70s and 80s. Our big problem now is chronic disability and the inability to heal orthopedic tissues. So what ISIS does, and I'm not just saying this, this is actually, we have had third-party independent laboratory verification of this twice at a laboratory that does studies to FDA standards. The FDA would have to recognize this data as real data, where ISIS, when you apply it to an injury where there's acute or chronic inflammation, it knocks that inflammation down almost as well as a large dose of steroid, but there's no steroid side effects. So to get to your question, why is it that ISIS would help with orthopedic injuries, even minor ones? And the answer is that it suppresses the overwhelming inflammatory response, because we don't have to worry about infections so much anymore as we do have to worry about an inability to heal orthopedic tissues, leading to prolonged long-term disability.
Yeah.
So what we found when we did this experiment, and it was done at Charles River Laboratories, we have 2 official test results on this. The director of the laboratory called me and discussed the data and said that it was the only medical device they had ever seen that had any measurable effect on inflammation. And ours was much more than measurable. It was much more than statistically significant. It was profound reduction in inflammation. And it happened at the very first time point after the inflammation event, which in this case was something called a carrageenan challenge. Bill, you'll know what that is. But
yeah, exactly. Carrageenan is very powerful inflammatory
injection. Yeah, it's an inflammatory agent that they can inject, and it causes terrible inflammation for about 8 hours. Then it goes away. Right. And that's the study. That's the test. That's the gold standard test that's used for all drug discovery for anti-inflammatory drugs. Like, how much does it knock down inflammation from a standard carrageenan challenge?
Right.
And ours, according to our testing and according to the very large international test laboratory that did the test for us, they said that they have tested every approved medical device and many that are not yet approved, and they said none of them, not a single one, ever had any real measurable effect on inflammation except for ours, and ours was stunning. In fact, they said that it was beyond belief. They had a special meeting of their staff. They said, medical devices don't do this sort of thing. This is in the realm of pharmacologic anti-inflammatory agents. So what my working hypothesis is that ISIS very quickly, as quickly as an injection of steroid at the site of injury, very quickly reduces inflammation through chemical mechanisms. Bill, you and I have talked about it. It's a little bit much to get into on a radio interview. But the upshot is that you knock down this massive, overwhelming inflammatory response, and the result is that your tissue can start healing immediately.
Yeah, it works at the multiple, we call pain gates. So, in fact, I think it works faster than steroids. Steroid takes sometimes a while for it to kick in, whereas this literally turns off the pain instantly, like within minutes.
A lot of people say that. That's the interesting thing, especially for things like low back pain. It worked on my low back pain because, I had an injury as a volunteer firefighter. 14 minutes, and boom, I was like pain-free.
Yeah, faster than steroids.
You don't have to take my word for it. We've got thousands of people who've used it for the same thing. And what we hear from people, especially with low back pain that is completely untreatable by other means, a surgery or anything. I've had several orthopedic surgeons tell me they can't do anything for it. Well, now I don't have that pain anymore. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do that for the next, 50 million people who need it, which is about how many people in the United States need some kind of help on that sort of thing. And the answer is, it takes somewhere between 15 and 45 minutes to feel real relief from extreme debilitating lower back pain when you use the device. That's just what we hear, and that's what we see with our customers. That's what we do.
Also,
so just
doesn't
so you
interfere
know,
with healing either.
I'll announce this here first on your show. We've started an orthopedic clinical study specifically on low back pain and another one on joints with a colleague of mine from Mayo, who's MD, PhD, rehab medicine, orthopedic surgery guy, and I've known him for many years. And we're actually starting a clinical study on this to just, we know it works. The question now is what percentage of people are helped and people with what types of injuries get the best benefit. The question of whether or not it helps people, for the most part, that's answered.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other interesting thing is that you'd think, well, inflammation is a part of the healing process, but it actually accelerates healing. You get more rapid migration of the healing cells into the area, more increase in the extracellular matrix, more improvement in blood flow to the area of microcirculation.
Inflammation does exactly that, right? And I mean, that's the understanding, the current understanding is the initial stage of inflammation does set all of that mechanism in motion. The problem is that when it stays around too long, and it becomes very counterproductive to actual healing, because one of the things that inflammation does is it opens up the gaps between cells, as you know, and it causes fluid infiltration into the extracellular matrix, and it does a lot to sort of screw up the balance, the ionic balance, and the chemical flow between cells that would normally happen in a normal extracellular matrix.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. So if you want to get an amazing device, and this is a remarkable deal, the MicroPulse, if you use the code Deagle, Dr. Deagle, you'll save $30, and the machine is therefore under $400. Less than $1,000 less than it was last year for the SomaPulse, and believe it or not, a technological advancement, just like everything in electronics. Remarkable healing, remarkable regeneration, remarkable pain control, anywhere in your body, from your brain to your joints to your feet to polyneuropathy, abdominal pain, pelvic pain. It's just amazing. And I tell people, get a MicroPulse. You're going to love it. And you probably find that if you give it to your friends or neighbors, even put it on your pet, they're going to steal it on you.